Hey everyone, welcome to Humble Tree Homestead. I'm Danielle Carpino, and this is our week 6 garden tour of the 2023 growing season. We are in Washington State, Zone 7, and things are drastically changing in the garden this week. You're going to notice a lot of color changes, a lot of things ready to harvest, and just an abundance of new growth, old growth, and all things in between. I wanted to take a moment to dedicate this video to my father, Bradley McClure, who we lost 26 years ago on August 1st to ALS. My father was an amazing man. He taught me a lot about kindness, loving people, giving whenever it is hard to give, and just having a zest for life. He loved nature. He loved being out in nature, and every time that I'm in this garden, I think of him. I know he walks these rows with me. I know he holds my hand, and I know that we do this together. I love you, Dad, and I miss you very much. On to our tour. Our Shishito peppers are alive and thriving. They're doing very well. The bushes are starting to really bush out now. We're getting lots of blossoms, great growth on it. We're yielding more and more harvest each time that we harvest them. This last week we pulled in double the amount that we have any other time when we've harvested, which was really awesome because we were able to give the blessings out to other people. That's kind of my overall goal, is someday when we do have our homestead, I would really like to be able to give to more people the blessings that I've been given. And when we have abundance, we're able to give out abundance. So it's been really exciting to see things producing well, and especially to the point that we can actually share it with other people too. It's just kind of the overall goal here, and it's exciting. I wanted to share with you guys this pepper right here. It looks like it's taking a nap in a little hammock. Tickled me to see, but anyways, the Shishitos are just doing great, which I'm happy about. They're definitely my favorite. Make sure that you're checking out my blistered Shishito pepper short on how I actually cook these up and enjoy them. They are delicious and one of our absolute favorites. Sweet Wilbur, as you can see, our California green bell pepper is not growing. It is just going to be the runt of our family. I do not give up hope on it. However, it's just showing no interest in growing, and that's okay. When I talked to Stacy out at the Bug Girl off of Red Mountain in Benton City, Washington, she was saying that this can just be a random thing that happens every once in a great while, or there could also be something that's eating at the roots, but I really don't know that it's something eating at the roots. The plant looks really healthy and everything. I think it's just a runt plant that just isn't, it has no will to actually produce anything. So there's Wilbur. Say hello to Wilbur, everyone. Moving right along to the second tallest pepper plant in our row, we have the sweet Carolina. This is a large pepper that is going to be sweet. It should get to where it is red in color, and as you can see, the fruit is gigantic. They are large, peppers. They are not small by no means. I, for some reason, was thinking they were going to be more like those snacking sweet peppers that you can get in the grocery store, but this is not that, and I'm really excited actually about it, because what I'm going to do is I'm planning on making a breakfast stuffed pepper out of them, and we'll have to see like flavor profile if that lends to it, but I think it'll be fun to kind of do a stuffed pepper in these, because they remind me of like how poblanos are for chili rellenos. But you can see these are great in size. They're not small peppers by no means. So that is our sweet Carolina. Looking at it, you can see that there are color changes that are starting to happen. We're starting to get a little bit of like a yellow and orange and kind of some striping going through it now. It's bound to be changing color pretty soon and able to be harvested. It's a big pepper, so it's going to take a little bit more time changing color, but we're excited whenever it's ready. The raspberry coneflower, aka Echinacea, is just still one of the delights of my garden. I really enjoy looking at it and just seeing the beautiful vibrance of this color in my beds, especially in contrast with the white zinnias. I just think that this is such a beautiful spot in my garden, and I really enjoy it. The bees are very happy with it as well, and it's just such a light in my garden. They are doing great. They're growing. They're just kind of filling in the little spot. From there, we have our banana pepper plant, and as you can see, that is another one that is doing really great in our garden. It continues to set on fruit. We're getting good yield of our banana peppers. We're very excited to be making pepperoncinis this year. It's doing really great for us. We're really happy with it. The peppers are a good size. They've got that nice thicker skin on them. They're a beautiful pop of color too, as you can see in comparison to the other peppers. They've just got that like really bright yellow tint to them, which only gets brighter as they begin to get to full maturity. We've got babies growing on there. We've got new blossoms. We've got the big ones. It's just doing really good for us, and we're very happy about this pepper, and we'll likely, if I can get a good pepperoncini recipe down, we will likely be growing these again next year. The lemon drop pepper. This is the first of the two spicy peppers that we have. This sucker is loaded. Now I'm kind of thinking that I need to put a shade cloth over this one because of the fact that the peppers are starting to kind of show sunburn. These are not supposed to be a red pepper. They're supposed to be like a bright lemony yellow color to them, and so they're starting to get a little too much sun. I think that if I put a shade cloth over this area, that it might help protect the peppers from getting sunburning on it. But you can see it's really loaded. Zach did try them, and even though they were green, he said that they did have a citrus flavor that came through. When one is ripe, we will go ahead and do kind of a little taste test with you guys so that you guys are aware of what the flavor profile is. And you can see this pepper is the tallest in our line of peppers. It is really a prolific grower. So if you like spicy peppers and your family likes spicy peppers and you kind of like peppers that have a little bit different of a flavor profile, I would truly suggest going with this one. Again, this is the lemon drop pepper, and it's just a prolific grower. If we look inside the plant, you can see it's just absolutely loaded with those peppers inside of there. The Thai basil, as you can see, is still doing amazing, and I let it go completely to seed so that you guys would get a good example on what I was trying to show you guys last week. This is what a seed cluster looks like. Each one of those, if I pluck it off, those are all seed pods that are inside of there. And like I was saying last week, I really like to sprinkle those over salads or just my dishes to give it just a little bit of an anise flavor to it. It's such a fun plant. It gives such an interesting flavor profile. Most basils I try to not let go to seed just because it will really change the flavor of your basil plant and make them bitter. However, Thai basil is the one that I really keep those blossoms on because it really adds to the flavor profile and really is lovely, especially in Thai dishes and things that have those like multi-layers of flavors. Thai basil is a fun one. I would strongly suggest growing it, especially if you like making Thai food, because it is extremely expensive in the grocery stores to buy Thai basil and hard to find sometimes, and this is just a wonderful way to have that Thai basil readily available when you want to use it. It's growing fantastic in my beds as well. From Thai basil to Thai peppers, you can see that this Thai pepper plant is doing really good. It is another prolific grower. We have lots and lots of peppers in there if we take a deeper look at it. It's such a neat plant. It's just like little fingers throughout the plant that makes like this bouquet of peppers. I really enjoy looking at this one. I think it's such a fun plant. As you can see, all throughout it is just covered in Thai peppers. We are definitely not going to be short on Thai peppers this year, which is good. He will enjoy eating them and sharing them with others. This will turn red when it starts to develop. It can be enjoyed at the green stage, but it is more desirable when it hits the red stage. It takes on a lot more flavor profiles instead of just a spicy green pepper. But as you can see, that plant is doing great. It is definitely not lacking in peppers. I wanted to show you guys this new thing that I've added to my garden. This is a watering spot for the pollinators. Pollinators get thirsty, and around here where I live in desert country, they don't find water very easily. So what I have done is I put a bunch of rocks inside of a bowl and filled it up with water so that they can land on the rocks and drink the water, which is so helpful for them. And it's such an easy thing we can do to provide water for those pollinators. From there we have my volunteer borage that's growing so freely in the garden, and I'm gladly accepting it there. Borage is one that will continue to spread in your garden. Once you bring it in, it will continue to pop up for you, but I am not mad about it. My pollinators like it, so they can come over once this gets blooms, go over to their little watering hole, and just have a gay old time right there. Looking at the leaves of my zinnias, I clearly have some caterpillars working these gardens, but my trap crops are working. They're not showing up on my plants yet, so we're going to continue to watch that and make sure that they are staying on those trap crops rather than going to my plants. Sweet baby melon is continuing to grow. It is getting bigger. You can hear that it's starting to hollow out in sound. Looking over the plant, you'll notice that I don't have any more melons that have set on this one. I do have a lot of areas of new growth that are kind of waiting to happen. So I think it's putting all of its energy into ripening up that watermelon right now. And then once that ripens and is off the vine, I think all the energy will start going into growing again. That's why, typically speaking, I will pluck the first fruits off of my plants, because that plant needs that energy to grow and to set on multiple fruits, because it takes a lot of energy for a plant to set on fruit. If we are picking off that first fruit before it even develops, that energy is going into the plant. It's actually producing more energy so that it can produce more fruit. But this one came in so late, like I said last week, that I wanted to make sure that I did get something off of it. And I did. And it's a beautiful, beautiful watermelon. I definitely am seeing that I'm not getting any more melons growing. However, it is only the very beginning of August, and that means that there is still plenty of time for more fruit to set on once this one comes off. From there, we move into Petite de Greece, the French varietal melon that is part of the cantaloupe family with very caramel tones to it. You can see that hidden melon that I did not know was there until last week is now huge. It is growing. It is probably pretty close to its full size because it is a smaller varietal. So now it's just a matter of it ripening up. I need to learn when it's ready, and we are the most excited about this varietal because of those caramel tones. We're like, what is it going to taste like? We're so excited. You can see throughout we still have lots of little tiny ones that are just kind of waiting in dormancy until that one ripens up, and then energy can go into other ones. You'll see right here we have one that's starting to get larger. Coming around to that other side, there are other even bigger ones like this one right here, which this one's about the size that that other one was last week. So you can see it is producing for sure. We got melons throughout. It really seems to be doing really well as long as these all kind of grow and get bigger. It seems to be producing well. We know that we have at least 3 good sized melons on there. We have at least 2 that are continuing to grow and a bunch more that are ready once that fruit comes off and more energy can be provided to the plant. My Armenian cucumber is actually starting to produce now. We are getting good growth off of it. Those multiple times that I have pruned this plant have proven to be helpful for it in producing more fruit, getting more blossoms, and having the energy to set on female blossoms. So we've got multiple Armenian cucumbers that are growing throughout. They're kind of hard to find at first. If you look closely, you'll find them. They're just kind of hard to find because they're that pale color, so they really blend in with the vines. But you'll see throughout the whole plant we've got multiple Armenian cucumbers. We're really excited about this variety. We got an Armenian cucumber to try, and I really was happy with it. When we tried it, we were really happy with it because it's a really nice crisp cucumber, not bitter at all. There's no bitterness whatsoever to it, no matter how big it gets, and it is just a really fun varietal. It'll have like those You can see like the ridging pattern in that melon as it's forming. That's throughout it whenever it starts to get bigger too. So it's just a really fun variety, and we're excited to have this growing in our garden. I did put up a video this week about pruning and helping the production of your cucumber plants, so make sure to check that out if you're interested in it. As you can see, in a week's time, this is filled out greatly and actually needs me to go in and thin it out a little bit again, reroute the new tendrils down and weave them in, but it is doing really good for us. Lots and lots of new blossom production on it, lots and lots of new fruit setting on, old fruit that's getting bigger. These are going to be a really long cucumber, and they're one that even if you let get even bigger will not go bitter. So it's a fun varietal, one that we're happy to have, and I'm so excited that I tried it because now I'm even more excited about this plant. It's doing really good for us. I would encourage you guys to seriously give pruning your cucumbers a chance, because it really did make a significant change in this plant and turned it around to where we're actually getting production off of it, getting a lot more blossoms, and with more blossoms we're getting more female blossoms too. From there, we have our Thelma Sanders Acorn Squash. This is one that we are eagerly awaiting, and it is getting close. From everything that I've read, the color change on it, and it should be pretty close at that point to harvest. So I think we're getting really close to harvesting time on these. You can see they are large. They're not small by no means. They are good sized acorn squashes. I am starting to get a lot more blossoms on this after treating it with potassium and phosphorus. A lot of new growth that's happening on it. This one's just doing really good all around. Those are the only two acorn squashes that we have on it. However, I know that it is just waiting for those to come off because it's been setting a lot more blossoms, new growth, and it is just waiting for its opportunity to shine again. So we're excited about that one. That is a winter squash varietal, but you will have to cure it. We'll go over all that whenever I actually am ready to harvest those ones. Tomatillo aisle. We have the purple tomatillo plant. Again, a great producer for us. It's doing really well. Looking at these leaves, it looks like I probably need to supplement it with some nitrogen. They're starting to get kind of pale in color. That's usually a good sign of needing more nitrogen. So, and I haven't fertilized these for a while, so I need to come in with a good heavy nitrogen fertilizer that maybe has a little bit of potassium and phosphorus in order to get some more blossoms too. But the main problem I'm seeing is that yellowing in the leaves. That is a good sign that the plant's lacking in some nitrogen. It's very full. There's another one right there. This varietal, when I was talking to Stacy, she was telling me that this varietal, it doesn't tend to get as purple as the other purple varieties do, that it kind of has a harder time. However, it still has that really sweet profile that purple tomatillos will have, and I'm kind of noticing that I'm getting more of a golden color off of them. I don't know if it's because they're not getting as much sun or if it's just that varietal, that's just what it kind of does. However, we are really enjoying this variety and we'll definitely be growing it again because it is really delicious on its own, and I can't wait to put it in salsas and other things. You'll see from there that we had to do a little maintenance on our green tomatillo because it was taking over the entire garden. We bought some garden stakes at Home Depot, the tallest that we could get. We think they're about 8 foot, and we put twine around it to help kind of act as a trellis for this tomatillo. The green variety of tomatillo that we have actually does grow tall. So that is a normal trait for this. It is doing really good. It's thriving. It's definitely a great grower for us in the garden. However, the space that we had, it just definitely needed a lot more room to grow up. So we did this. After the point that it gets to the top of that, it's not going to matter if it goes over and starts canopying the rest of the beds. But I needed to be able to get through my aisles to maintain this plant and actually take care of it. There will be a video going up on tomatillos. From our tomatillo, we have our zucchini plant. Again, I really don't feel like this zucchini is getting enough light. I think that's why we're having some production issues with it. It's growing, and I have a feeling once it hits more light, it's gonna do better. But we do have a zucchini back here. At the time, it wasn't producing any males, so I had to go over to my sister and brother-in-law's garden and steal a male blossom from them to fertilize it. However, now it's got male and female ones on it, so I'm hoping that it's gonna start producing for us. But again, I just think that I really planted this in the wrong spot for our garden. It's really not getting sun. It gets a couple hours of sun a day, and I just don't think it's enough for it to be producing correctly. The garden is just a big experiment, and it's a classroom, and it's always learning. There's always going to be something that we're troubleshooting and learning in the garden, and that's a beautiful thing of it. That's how we grow skills, that's how we grow as humans, and that's how we become better gardeners, farmers, homesteaders for years to come. Those lessons are valuable for us. What I've learned is to not grow tall tomatillos in front of plants that need the light. Put that at the end of the bed because it will grow tall and be just fine. I had no idea that tomatillo was going to grow like that. We have chose to go with training our plant to go upward for this squash plant and our zucchini plant, and it's working good for us. We just didn't have the space for them to spread out like they needed to in a garden space, and so when I learned about this method of actually trellising it up, I thought, well, hey, let's give that a try and see if that'll actually work for us. And it is. However, again, we still face that issue of not enough sunlight, so it's not producing like I know it could. We also have pollinator issues as well, just because this place has not been cultivated in the past. But that's going to get easier as time goes by, and we'll learn new placement for our plants so that each year gets a little bit better. So you'll notice that there's a silvering on the leaf. This is very typical of squash plants. It can be powdery mildew on some plants. However, this varietal, that is a very normal thing. That's its leaf pattern. A lot of squashes get it. Ronde Nice. You will see that we do have blossoms that are opening up on it. And continuing down, we got a lot of growth that's coming on. And we have another one that came on, so that we're excited about. We really like this variety, and we definitely are going to be growing it again next year, but in a better location. So, but it is still producing, and the taller that it gets, the more it is producing because it's getting more light. But this one is such a good tender squash. This one's about ready to harvest, and I will be doing a fried squash recipe for you guys off of that. Our peach tomatoes are doing great. That one is almost ready to harvest. It'll get just a little bit of pink up around the shoulders of it, and then that's when you'll know that it is ready. But we're so excited to try this variety. It's one that neither one of us have tried, and we both really like unique varieties. You can see throughout, we are getting into hotter weather. The leaves are kind of curling a little bit. It's very typical at the end of the season for the plants to start kind of getting spent and having a hard time. This isn't disease, it's not illness, it's not of concern, it's just end of the season stuff. Once those tomatoes down at the bottom that are producing actually come off, then we'll cut up the leaves to the next point where there are green tomatoes, so that way we're kind of taking that energy and putting it up where it needs to go, and that'll take care of some of those leaf issues. See how you're starting to get that speckling and that veining in it? That one is getting translucent to where it will start to ripen soon too. They are doing great. They have exceeded my shade cloth. They are starting to go over and actually lean now. Great varietal. This is probably the most prolific of our tomato ones. They are small, but they are growing, and there's a lot of fruit on this one, and we're really excited to give it a try. Kellogg Breakfast varietal. These are a really big tomato, as you can see right there. Good sized tomato. We don't have a lot on this plant, but the ones that we do have, they are doing good, and they will continue to produce for us throughout the season. Sweet Virginia, this is another large tomato. This is our eating row. We have tomato sandwiches in our mind when it comes to this row. That one is not producing a lot. I have a lot that are kind of trying to come on, but they haven't yet. It is still growing, it's still producing blossoms, so hopefully we'll get some more, but as of right now, off the Sweet Virginia, I only have that cluster. We have one more. So I think I only have like 3 off of this one that I'm aware of, but oh no, there's another cluster over on the other side too. Then we have our early girl. This is the one that has been definitely ripening the fastest as per its namesake. It is supposed to be an early varietal. Nothing like super interesting about this one. This is one that you just grow if you want early tomatoes to be on set. Just, it tastes like a tomato. There's not a lot of interesting attributes to it, but it is an early producer to get you some tomatoes while you're trying to be patient and wait for the tomatoes to ripen up. It is a fun one to just kind of throw in the mix. Prudence Purple or Cherokee Purple. These are really producing for us. We've got a lot on here. As you can see, that webbing and veining is starting to poke through. That means it's starting to get translucent. These are a very big tomato, and this is probably the one that we're most excited about because it's gonna have a lot of rich flavors to it. You can see it is a giant. This is the biggest tomato I have growing in my garden right now. One of those Virginia Sweets may end up being bigger than this, but I'm not sure. It's very typical for it to keep the green around the shoulders, and then it'll fade from that into a red, and then the bottom will get to where it's more of like a bruised, like purpley kind of tone to it. So they're not quite ready, but you see that we have a lot that are ripening up and getting ready to. You can see here that it's kind of getting that darkening at the bottom and then fades up. So these are not too far away from us being able to enjoy some of them. They are not quite there yet. They're just in the process of getting there. Continuing to have growth on them, continuing to have new onset of fruit, new blossoms. This one is a great grower for us this year. Sweet Millions Cherry Tomato. This one is doing really good. At first it wasn't producing a whole lot, but now we're starting to get a lot more fruit on it and the plant's growing, and you can see we're getting quite an array of cherry tomatoes off of this one. As you can see, we got some that are starting to ripen, which means more garden snacks. Yay! dun, dun. We have the Corday Blue. This is our sauce aisle. As you can see, that one is completely changing colors. The other one over here is beginning to blush. They are actually starting to change colors and do what we want, which is so exciting to see all of our hard work pay off. We are still dealing with slight amounts of that blossom end rot, but it is healing and it is getting better. The new growth that is coming on beyond that doesn't have it on, and this is much, much lighter than what we were dealing with before. I do have a video on blossom end rot if that's something that you are dealing with. It is a calcium deficiency and can be easily treated by actually supplementing calcium. You can see here by the new growth right there, that one doesn't have it on it. So we are successfully out of that, and we will continue to treat our plant with calcium to make sure that future blossoms and future fruit are not getting that issue. But you can see here it's continuing to grow. Shea cloth is working really good for us. However, you will notice that it is not 100% successful. There are still ones that are getting sterile like this and falling off, but we are still getting new fruit that is setting on. So it is working, because otherwise come this time of year, we wouldn't have any on our plants. You can see here that we have more that is setting on, more blossoms that are coming on. So while not 100% successful, it is definitely prolonging our harvest, which is what we're trying to do. Then we have our San Marzinos over here. This is a very common variety to use. You can see they're starting to change in color, very dry. It's a very typical sauce tomato, and it is doing really well for us. All throughout we have new growth that's coming on, new blossoms that are setting in, and new fruit that's setting on each one of these plants. You'll see right here. Here is a newer fruit that is setting on right there. New blossoms with new fruit on it. So it is doing really well for us. Down here I did have my first situation where it looks like we are dealing with a worm. There are holes in it. At first I thought it might be the birds, because our arborvitaes next to us, as you can always hear, have tons of birds in them. However, one did drop to the ground and I found a worm inside of it. So I put a praying mantis over here to feed on the garden, and I'm going to come out with a black light to make sure we're not dealing with tomato hornworms. I'm not seeing any other signs other than that. I'm not seeing leaves that have been eaten. I'm not seeing multiple of these have holes in them. However, this is that time of year where it starts to happen, and you have to be diligent, especially as an organic gardener, and make sure that you're just kind of keeping on top of those pests. If you know things like that, come out with a black light. Tomato hornworms will glow under a black light, making it a lot easier to spot them before they are gigantic and a huge problem and devouring your plants. So just make sure that you're checking your plants every day, especially this time of year. It's so crucial because we are in the time where they start getting that pest pressure on them. It's coming up on the end of the season, and the pests tend to be a little bit more prolific at this point. You can see that I just have lots and lots of new growth on my adorable little yellow pear tomatoes. Again, I love this variety just to look at it. I have just fallen in love with this plant. It is the cutest thing. Like I say every single time, it reminds me of fairy tales and Thumbelina and all those wonderful little fantastical things from my youth, and it just makes me so happy. You can see we have ones that are actually turning yellow. Zach and I enjoyed one yesterday. This is not a super sweet tomato. This one is a mellow acidic with a slight sweet finish on it, but it's not overly sweet. This would be a really good one to throw in salads or like Greek mixes or things like that. Really, really fun varietal. I will definitely be growing it again, if for nothing else, the pure joy it brings me when I look at this plant. I haven't shown you guys yet is our awesome sunflowers, and I wanted to show you the different phases. So this is right before the blossom is going to open up and bloom. I have different phases on each one of these sunflowers, so it's really fun. I can actually show you guys this. So this is right before it blooms. Right here we have one that has bloomed and it is now starting to get the pollen and set on the seeds. Then this one right here has drooped over. It's starting to grow its seeds inside of there. The petals are starting to dry off. Then we have this one where you can see that it's really closing in. Those seeds are getting a lot bigger inside of it. It's starting to get dry leaves behind it. That's starting to turn pale, which is all part of the process you want. You want those heads to be completely dry on here before you take them off. That's how you know your seeds are in maturity, and we'll show you guys that as the process continues. The very first one that we had open up, it looks like I have a worm inside of there. Pesky little thing, I'll have to try to get that out later. Anyways, you can see that the seeds are really starting to form inside of here. We're getting an actual sunflower seed, and you'll see back here that it's getting really yellow at the back of it, and this is what you want to see. You want to see them start to turn yellow, then they're going to start to turn brown, then they're going to start to look like they're completely dead, and that is all part of that process of what you're wanting to get those sunflower seeds to form and be mature. These are black oil sunflower seeds. They're going to have a softer shell. We will use them for bird seed is what we will be doing with them. So over here, you're gonna see that we have a new bed that we have started because we were gifted some plants and they needed a space. So this is actually gonna be expanded next year for our garden space, but we just started to grow some things in there this year because we were given some plants. So we have basil over here. This one, I have to look up the tag again. This is a summer squash varietal that needed to be put in the ground. There is a video of me planting out this bed that will be coming soon, and that one is going to be a pale colored summer squash. I also put different seeds throughout the bed because this soil really needs to be amended. Again, I have a video that's coming up of this that will be this Wednesday's one, but you'll see that there are new sprouts that are starting to come up. That one I believe would be a sunflower that's growing. I am just trying to treat the soil here. It's not ideal. I'm trying to get it ready for next year, so just kind of planting random things throughout and kind of aerating that soil. Then right here we have the little tiny pumpkins. One is going to be a white one and one will be a orange one, so we'll see what we get out of this. We still got a little bit of time, so I'm sure we're going to get at least some pumpkins off of it. We're really excited for this new space, especially next year. It'll be fun. We're going all the way down that way, all the way across, and all the way to where this grass stops. So that'll be a fun new expansion on our garden. There you have it, friends. Week number 6 garden tour completed. Can you even believe how fast this summer is going? I normally am a person who counts down the days to fall and am eagerly awaiting pumpkin spice season and fall leaves, which don't get me wrong, I still am. I love fall so much. But I actually am really enjoying summer this year, which is not something you usually hear uttered from my mouth. But the garden has really given me that escape and that place of peace and contentment in my life. I had a really hard week this last week with some personal matters going on in the family, and that garden has been my sanctuary. It has been my sanity, and it has really helped me through the troubles that I'm going through. It's so important to find things in your life that do that for you, that fuel that passion inside of you and give you hope and give you something to look forward to in those hard days. All I can say is this garden has taught me that this is my passion. This is my calling. This is what I have been working up to. God has put all these strange little interests and hobbies and things like that into my life that never made sense until now. And now I see and understand in a much clearer picture what is going on. And I am so happy to be here in life. I'm so happy to be at this point where I feel fulfillment from things that I'm doing. I enjoy it. I look forward to every day. I look forward to summer. And because I'm loving summer so much, that means that we're probably going to end up doing a fall garden as well, because I'm not ready to be done yet. I really am enjoying this so much. So that's probably something that's going to be coming up too. But make sure that you're hitting that subscribe button, because there's lots of content still to come. The season is not over. We're actually just now getting into the meat and potatoes of harvesting and all that kind of stuff. In addition, there's going to be a lot more cooking when it starts coming time to harvest. There's going to be a lot of stuff still to come. So make sure you're hitting that subscribe button, liking the video if you like our content, and leave a comment. I want to get to know you. I don't like one-sided relationships. So comment down below. Say hello. Let us know who you are, where you're from. If you're gardening, if you're a first-time gardener, long-time gardener, just leave some kind of comment down there so I can get to know you as a person as well. And remember, until next week, you guys, from humble beginnings, mighty things can grow if we learn to just tend to them. I love you guys. I hope you have a good week. Bye. Hi, Mr. B. And I'm counting down. Start with the door. Oh, why can't I get this right? Week number 6 in the books. That sounds dumb. Why am I so weird and unnatural today? Typically, I'm like not ready for. Oh, that is a weird looking moth.